Father, thank you for the beautiful day you've given us. Lord, you're so good to us and so merciful, and you bless us in more ways than we can ever count. Lord, thank you for this time tonight. Lord, we pray for wisdom and guidance and knowledge as we need to discuss the finances and the business of the city of Rainsville. Lord, we're thankful for where we live and the community in which we live. Lord, we're thankful for our employees. We're thankful for our citizens in our town. Lord, we just pray you continue to watch over and care for each one of us. These things we ask in your name.
Amen. Everybody will address the flag and pledge allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, what I would like to do is take up just a minute of your time to give you not only thanks for helping us in years past, but ask for your assistance again this year. Now, we've been kicking off our Toys for Tots fundraiser the last Saturday in August up here at Hilltop. It's a scorcher and it's a little early, but I'd like to move it up, and it's not a good weekend either for us, but for anyone else, Labor Day weekend on Saturday the 3rd, because we go non-stop from when we open until 2 days before Christmas. And last year, you assisted in helping us to help 887 needy children in DeKalb County. And that we thank not only you as a council for allowing us to meet up there, but for each one that here that probably has donated and will donate.
I don't know of any conflict with the date. We normally defer to the police chief for working out some of the details with roadblocks and that kind of thing.
Okay, so I'll just...
Y'all may have.
No, that's good. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thank you for your
I
work.
will be in and talk with him though prior to that and everything.
Sure.
All right.
Mr. Martin, we do
Thank you very much.
appreciate the job you do.
Thank you.
Sir?
We appreciate the job that you do.
Well, we thank you. It's tiring, but the joy is when you look in the face of the children, and that's what makes it worthwhile. And we appreciate the opportunity to serve in that capacity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't pass that around. A couple weeks ago, I was thinking about Memorial Day being patriotic, and I remembered about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that Derek Lawson came to you guys asking about to do a Veterans Memorial. So I called him, talked to him about the deal and stuff, and he was saying, you know, had to have 501c for nonprofit. So we decided that we think that would be a good beautification project. There's the picture that what it hopes to look like. There's a blue star marker that's on the end of that, and I just became aware of that last week. The Garden Club ladies were talking about this, and this came about in World War II to honor the veterans from World War II. And so we would like to put one of those in with the Garden Club ladies' assistance for them to fix the memorial for that. I have been trying to raise some money, got some money raised to help pay for the Blue Star marker. Also, we've got Woodman Life is already bought our flags. They're going to do the lighting. Steve Livingston, Daniel Ledbetter, going to buy our 5 flagpoles. Kirkpatrick is donating concrete and mortar, and Johnson Lumber is going to do the blocks. The labor will be provided by Derek Rawson and his father, and our prize will be the markers, the bronze markers that you see, the round military markers. So we've got some funds in the beautification account. We've got another project that we're wanting to do at the police department. to revamp the front of that, add some flowers, do some things. So we didn't want to deplete all of the money. So I was wondering if the city could, maybe, put some money, maybe $3,500, or, $3,500 toward helping us complete this project.
I don't know why I didn't think about this when I was talking to you, but AMRV grants, I believe, are due July 1st, and I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. And I could not write a grant for Imagination Library this year because we've received the grant for 2 years. So you and me can get together and we can get possibly up to $5,000. It's from 1 to 5. But then also, we can ask, we did it with the Tornado Memorial, we can ask them if they'll do the bookkeeping, and anybody that donates funds is tax refundable.
Right. Well, there's several businesses in town that I've talked to. I've done got some commitments. Some people haven't told me how much. Or what y'all want to go?
That's good with me on either one.
I for one be for the city helping out with this right here.
We had our Freedom Fest meeting going over our budget and everything, and we've got we're under budget, and so, I talked to them about it today, and, they said that they would be willing to, go like 1,500 into it to help out with this project, so.
They'll do that, I think we can do their estimate, I think it'd be a problem.
Well, that's like I said, we've got everything covered except those long markers. And those 5 markers, they can cost up to $1,600 a piece for that. I've got somebody checking to see if we might get those cheaper. But, hey, if we have up in the bug, we can always give it back to you guys, or,
Or do another,
do something, we have several projects going on, we've got 2 right now. And, I just met with the Garden Club ladies over at the police department, and we're gonna revamp that and do some stuff, and so if y'all would just consider that, we could be on our way.
Let's go, I wrote down on my agenda, I'm gonna ask them to allot $2,000 from the general fund for the beautification committee, if they can do it $1,500.
We'll do it,
All right, well,
on
thank
the
y'all.
Freedom Fest.
thanks, guys.
Jerry, Clifton?
I'll teach you to walk in.
Had no idea.
They may have ran it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, here we are. We are 11 days away from the Rainsville Freedom Run. And right now, last year we had 625. We are approaching 700 today. Just got some in a little while ago. I'm over in Huntsville. And so anyway, it's going extremely well. We think that probably this year we'll have, I would say, we're going to have 800. We'll have 1,000. This is going to be, oh my goodness, it's going to be extremely crazy and stressful. But again, I cannot tell y'all how much I appreciate y'all's support. I have been, I actually was in Birmingham last week meeting with a group down there that do runs, and I asked them, I said, how many did y'all have in y'all's run last year? And they said, well, we kind of hate to tell you. And I said, well, how many? And they said, 40. And I said, oh my goodness. So anyway, but we talked about the fact of community support, and that is extremely important. And I do appreciate, y'all's support that the mayor and council gives us, that we get from our police department, fire department, street department, just everyone. I mean, it really makes the city, it's a big deal. And we've got runners right now, from 150-mile radius coming in. We've actually got some coming from Spartanburg, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida. It's amazing to me, the distance that people are coming, because of this run. But, and of course, this year, you know, we normally, the profits of the run, you know, we give to different charities in our communities, and we're doing that to some degree this time, but the bulk of the money is going to Savannah Willingham to help her with the needs that she has. And so what I'd like to do, well, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions, and then I'd like to get a picture. You know, I'm all about pictures.
I was gonna use this opportunity to make a joke about repaving George Wallace,
Oh, my
but
gosh.
I didn't know if it would be timely.
Well, I'm glad, I have a question. If we're
It's
not
only funny
expecting any
now.
streets being paved, that the railroad's gonna be running on. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, gosh.
We appreciate what you're doing.
Yes.
You're always out promoting the event and on social media and local television stations, and so we really appreciate all that you do to bring people into our town.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Dave. All right, so can we get a picture, or do we need to wait till after the, y'all wanna wait till after you finish with your meeting, or what do you?
You may wanna get it now.
Okay, let's do it now. Let's see, where's my notes? You care to take this picture? And, right here, we'll hold this shirt right here. This is the gray shirt, Team Savannah. All right, let's all squeeze in right here. Camera break. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And, I know some of y'all have asked about forms. I'm gonna leave some right here, and y'all can bring them by the Perkins Center or mail them, or call me, I'll come by.
Hey, I've already signed up.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks,
you.
Jerry.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'll get right to my point tonight. In viewing many of the videos of past city council meetings on YouTube, on the internet, it's become apparent that we seem to have a serious problem with how our city business is being conducted. Over and over in video after video, it's clearly evident that decisions are being made by our council members behind closed doors. Then with decisions already made prior to any open meeting, they're presented in the form of a motion by one member, immediately seconded by another member, then voting in unison, whatever was previously decided on is passed with a majority vote. Unfortunately, it appears that most of our city's business is decided without the knowledge or participation of our mayor. In Alabama, a law exists that is referred to as the Sunshine Law or the Open Meetings Law to prevent exactly this behavior from happening. I have some handouts for you. I received a phone call last Friday night from Joey Brown. He explained to me that you've all had training and you're aware of what this law is about and this open meetings law. And on the form I filled out for the agenda, it said that you needed 10 copies. Is that 2 copies for each of y'all? Is that what that 10 comprises, or do you just need 1 copy? Does anybody know? Okay. I'll give you a copy of this. You want these extra copies, Kelly, or you just need 1? Just 1. Okay. the audience would like a copy of this, of what I handed out to them, I'll pass this around. And if you'd like one, you can take it, just pass it around to each other. Okay, what I'd like to do is read this notice, which is on the first page you got here. It was printed by the Fort Payne Times-Journal newspaper on June 2nd of this year, to explain this law to those who may not be aware of its existence. Access and open meetings. Here are a few key provisions of Alabama's Open Meetings Act to help the public hold their public bodies more accountable. Notice, no meeting, even an emergency meeting, can properly be held without proper notice. 7-day notice is required of all prearranged meetings. 1-day notice is required to spend public funds or to deliberate matters expected to come before the body at a later time. Notice is required to include date, time, place, and agenda. Okay, on the second page that I gave you, there's a lot of places on the internet you can go and get different wording on this, but of all the ones I looked at, this seemed to be the simplest and easiest to understand, and that's why I printed this particular one out. If a governmental body violates the Alabama Open Meetings Act, any citizen of Alabama, media organization, or the Alabama Attorney General may file a complaint. A preliminary hearing on the complaint file will be held no later than 10 business days after the date that the defendants filed an initial response to the complaint. If the defendant does not file an initial response, the hearing will be no later than 17 business days after the filing of the complaint. If the court rules against the public body, it has the right to enforce personal fines on members of the body of up to $1,000 or half a month's salary, whichever is less, for each violation of the act. The government body is authorized but not required to pay the legal fees of individuals who violate the act. The code also establishes that any action against the public body must be made within 60 days of the realization of the violation of the law and within 2 years of the actual violation. Although after viewing videos of all the meetings during this administration, going over the minutes of these meetings and finding many, many examples of this law obviously being violated, in the interest of time, I will only present 2 examples at tonight's meeting. On April 15, 2015, a special meeting was called for the purpose of hiring City Clerk Kelly Frazier. Clearly, in the video, the mayor was totally unaware of what was going on. Apparently, behind closed doors, the council had decided to hire Ms. Frazier. The mayor was not notified of the date, time, or place of the interviews for this position. This was done totally by city council members who voted her in. The mayor clearly stated that he was voting against the process of the way this was handled, rather than against the applicant. Now, some questions were asked, and I looked at this video, I watched it 3 times today.
Ms. Pittman?
Yes.
If you can hurry up, you're past your 5 minutes.
Okay. Roger, let me ask you, when and where was this meeting, and who conducted the interviews for applicant for new city clerk?
Everybody had the opportunity to, we had the applications, so everybody had the opportunity to get with them and interview.
Well, my question was, when and where was the meeting held to hold the interviews?
When and where? They were held at the Agri Center, same place we always hold all of our meetings at that time.
Okay, so this was, you had an open meeting because there's
No,
no.
ma'am, let me,
No.
we scheduled those on our own,
It was,
and we did meet in small groups, which is perfectly legal, and interviewed each one of the candidates. I know that myself and Roger interviewed multiple candidates on the same day in this room, and we set them up staggered times so we could go through all the candidates and give them equal opportunity to be interviewed.
How many candidates were there?
I don't remember,
Okay.
but can you go to your next example? You're past your 5 minutes.
No, I'm not through this example yet. If you'll
Well, Ms.
continue.
Pittman, you signed this paper saying that you would keep your comments to 5 minutes. You are now over your 5 minutes. We do have other pressing business to take care of. We do appreciate you bringing this to our attention, but please be brief in your comments.
Okay, well, as soon as you quit talking, I can finish. I want to know why the mayor was not notified of these interviews, because if you had these small groups and small meetings, and they weren't open to the public, then they were illegal. These meetings are unlawful to be held in this
Ms.
manner.
Pittman, thank you for your time. We do have other stuff to go to. If you can, from now on, please keep your comments to the 5 minutes time.
Okay, so you don't want to hear my other examples?
Well, ma'am,
How
you
this
have
law's
5
been
minutes
violated.
to speak on this issue.
Okay, well, 5 minutes is not enough on this, but I will see you at the next city
Yes, ma'am.
council meeting.
At the last meeting, we had a presentation from Mr. Larry Campbell from Aronoff on the possibility of assigning Mr. Campbell and his son as their agents, or insurance agents in dealing with damage. He has, I think he's talked with a few of you guys, and basically what they'd like to do is a trial run with us for a year period, discounted rate of $10,000, and that would run through February, which is when our I believe our 3-year deal with Amic runs out. I'd like to move forward with that.
Was this a percentage of our total payments?
No, it was not. We just picked what we thought would probably, based on prior experience, what we thought it would take in man hours to do this. Because it wasn't about a profit, it was about showing you a process as a council. And so it wasn't really anything about how much money. And in this case, I think that we were able to come up with a significant amount of property that were not covered under the policies, to the tune of several $100,000, even more into $1 million or so. And that was a fee for this one policy year that we're currently in, 16 and 17. This was brought before the council. I can't remember the exact date. I just read the article in the paper for Fort Payne 2 months ago or so, and we proceeded forward on that after the council agreed for us to move forward on it. And so that was that. And the second aspect of it was to show the worth of having an agent as such represent you or any other town for that matter, because Amic is an insurance company. They're not an insurance agent. And the validity of first of all, they just simply take the information you give them and then move forward with it and come up with a premium. So they don't really verify anything, or they don't substantiate anything. And that's where we come in. We don't care whether it's Amic or Travelers or CNA or whomever. We're just interested in making sure that this council and the mayor meet their fiduciary responsibilities to cover all the property that's out there available. And it's a massive undertaking when you go building the building, and you go into all the aspects of trying to run all this property down. Police cars, fire trucks, buildings, contents in buildings, construction of buildings. It goes on, and it takes a lot of hours, and we basically just came up with a fee on that basis. What our ultimate goal was to prove our worth so that we could be your agent and move forward in the coming years, and possibly go to other companies and create a competitive environment so that you weren't just stuck with Amic. Nothing wrong with Amic. They're a
state, on the insurance business, because, when they first got started doing municipalities, they were the only game in town, but since then that has changed, and other major carriers have an interest in this type of business, so. This fee was a one-time thing for this policy year 16 and 17. We would be your agent to represent you, get these changes identified, or get these needs identified, and get with Kelly, which my son intends to do next week, all these pieces of property that aren't on the policy as we sit here tonight, to get that done. The second phase was that we received a letter where you appoint us as your agent. Now, if you do that, this council, next council, I mean, this is not a lifetime deal. You can change it just by simply saying, we've enjoyed what you've done, thank you for your help, and adios. It's that simple. It's just like you would do with Chris Kuykendall if he wrote you homeowners or anybody else. You're just your agent as long as you want us to be your agent. It's not a permanent type anything. So, we do feel like you need an agent. We feel like every municipality in the state needs an agent, because you're not trained in insurance, you're not supposed to be. You're trained to do what's in the city's best interest in hiring appropriate people where you need them, whether it's a city attorney, whether it's an architect, whether it's a CPA. All of those folks have functions they perform for the city because they're needed. And ours is just another function. And this one-time fee does fall under the city of Rainsville, but subsequent commissions would be paid by AMIC to us, and you wouldn't have any play in that as far as any outlay of money.
Would the additional commissions paid to AMIC to you, would that represent a higher payment to us?
We feel like no, for this reason. We feel like once we're in the game, they become a little more competitive because they know we're not working for AMIC, we're working for you. You will initially get an increase by what we found because there's so much property not currently listed on the policy. We can't help that. But as far as will it cost you more to have us, our experience has taught us that over a period of time, we're probably going to save you money with our commission included.
Mr. Campbell, 8% is the standard, industry standard as far as commission for your work.
We were far below that.
Sure. But 8% on what we pay now is about $16,000. General liability and workman's comp, we pay about $200,000 a year in premiums. So the $10,000 is, of course, for a trial run. Ends in February.
Well, we call it a trial because we actually did perform a service that we agreed to. So
Sure
trial.
Sure thing. But it's heavily discounted, I guess is the best way to put it.
Now, what do you do as far as the workman's comp?
We'd be happy to look at that too. We just work for you, period. It doesn't matter what phase.
What are our insurance payments without workman's comp?
Insurance payment.
Yeah, what do we pay?
Premiums.
Premiums.
150 to 155,000.
I think the total package is somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000.
And that includes the workman's comp?
We haven't
Workman's
looked at
comp.
work comp.
What
And
is,
we've been looking at the 200,000
package.
the package as far as an item in the budget. Because 200,000 in the financial budget is a significant item.
But
That's
we're available for all of that. That's just not where we came in. We came in on the package to try to establish or to make sure that your coverages were sufficient and that your property was covered.
I'm curious as to what 8% of our property coverage is, not what 8% of our total, with minus our workman's comp.
Well, let's assume for a moment that 8%, that the premium is 200,000, you'd be talking about 16,000.
So the 150,000, that's just our property insurance. That's not,
And general liability.
does that include workman's comp?
It does
No,
not.
it
Work
does not,
comp is
it does
separate
not
item.
include workman's comp. But everything we pay insurance, absent health insurance now for the employees, is the $200,000 budget item.
So it's a significant budget item, to say the least. And you wanna save money where you can, but it's important to saving money, you wanna make sure that you're properly covered if you have another tornado. A fire generally won't hurt you too much, it's usually specific to one building or one area. But tornado, as was the case last time it came through and hit the civic center, or I'm not sure you call it that, but, you know, there was, the coverages on that building were not significant enough to pay for the damage. And I understand, I don't know this for sure, but you do, I'm sure, that money had to be raised through bond issue to finish repairing. Is that right or wrong?
I'm not
They did
sure on that.
upgrades, the Board of Education went above and beyond.
Okay.
There was enough to replace it as
The
is.
insurance would cover it, it was just the upgrades that Board of Education.
Gotcha. So anyway, we had looked at all of that too, and we made some recommendations of all kind of buildings are looked at differently. You have a concrete structure, it'll carry one rate. You have a metal steel joist, it'll carry another, a non-combustible another, a frame building another. And all of those rates will vary because in a windstorm, certain type construction can stand up better, and in a fire, certain type of construction will stand up better. So your rates are based off of those things. And we go in each building, or did go in each building and establish that as well. And that's how you come up with what the buildings were.
Any more questions? No.
I have a question. If I remember correctly, the last time, Mr. Campbell, the numbers and coverage that you're citing now does include those buildings that are owned by the Industrial Development Board?
I believe that's correct, sir.
That's what
I
I
remember a conversation.
So what we're talking about now does include those buildings, there's a
Yes,
couple
sir.
of them, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And the Ag Center.
And the accent.
Yep.
Ag
And-
building,
and-
They were all on that list.
right.
Well, the only reason I asked about the ones that we're responsible for is because we're collecting lease money on those. So I just want to make sure it wasn't included, because it's a little bit situated.
We took any building that the city had a participation in, and we put it in the,
That's what I thought, I just wanted to make it clear that tonight.
and it was quite an undertaking. You think of Rainsville was a small place till you start driving around looking for buildings. It's not so small. I mean, I didn't realize there was a water plant over there. I didn't realize there was, the arena out here. I mean, they're not on the road, but once you start driving around, it's pretty extensive. I knew where the library was, because I've been in there and bought some inexpensive books. At my age, you still enjoy reading, not just your computer.
Okay, it's 5:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Graham,
Present.
Holt, here, Ledbetter,
Here.
Freeman, here, Lingerfeld.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented by the city clerk and dispense with the reading thereof.
Second.
Motion by Graham to approve the minutes as presented, second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I've got two letters here. One to assign, or authorize me to assign Mr. Campbell and Aronoff as our agents of record and representative in dealing with AMIC. One is for the AMIC and the other is for the Workman's Compensation Fund. And then also their one-time $10,000 fee for services, and that's through February of 17. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion. I second it.
There's a motion by Holt and a second by Freeman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I've got a very simple legal services contract for city attorney Nikki Scott in Fort Payne, $150 an hour. that's pretty well the only stipulation on that agreement.
Make a motion that we accept that.
I second that.
Motion by Graham to accept the contract, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We've got upcoming public participation meeting for the ongoing comprehensive city plan. And also I think review maybe just a quick update on the demolition grant. And thankfully Lucas Blankenship has joined us tonight. And I guess I'll let you run through that, Lucas, if you want to.
Sure, by all means. Good evening. Would you like to start first with the comp plan?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Basically, the next step that we need to partake on the comp plan contract is holding a public participation meeting. And at your whim, I would like to kind of gauge you guys about when you would like to do that, and kind of a time frame for public notice, and how you would like to advertise for that.
I think August would be a better month if we can wait that long.
Okay. I work at your whim, so I'm fluid.
That's better for me to keep that notice.
Well, but that's gonna put us off track with, that's gonna delay this thing for 3 months.
It's up to you
My
guys.
June's booked through the second week of July, so if it's after the second week of July, I can just, anything else do that.
And with school starting back on August the 4th, most people will have their vacations over with, so you probably have a greater participation from the public.
Okay. The only thing I would mention is that if we do delay it, I may have to ask for an extension from the Appalachian Regional Commission on the project, since we are putting a little bit of a lag in that.
I'm not opposed to you having it sooner, I just cannot participate till after the second or third week in July due to job responsibility. So if you want to plan it some other time, I just can't participate.
Well, I work at the city council's whim.
I don't want you to get behind on asking for an extension, so when are you thinking is a better time?
I would like to have that sooner rather than later if it was up to me,
Okay,
but like I said, I work for you guys, so.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping, by the end of this month, just to keep it on track.
I would say if you can do it and that would work in your schedule, I'm not opposed to that, but I will not be in favor.
Pending the direction that you guys would like to take, we can schedule a sit-down meeting with you to take your information and run things by you to get your input, if you'd like to go that round,
Okay.
prior to or after, either way.
So June's just not gonna work.
No, I'm here one day.
I'm good. I think there's like 3 days in a couple of weeks that I won't be able to. But, good.
What about, of course, we're fairly flexible, right? Lucas don't wanna work on the weekend.
Well, I'm here if I
Me
need to
either.
be, yeah.
Yeah, me either.
If we're gonna have a barbecue or something.
Yeah.
That would help the turnout.
Sure.
It would probably be best if you just pick a
You pick a
suitable
date,
date for your
yeah.
schedule and
We'll try to
go
adjust
with
ours
it.
too.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's thing we'll do.
Well, as long as we're on the same page, that's the main thing, so. Okay.
Demolition grant, that's coming down the.
My understanding is this, at this time, we have approximately 18 people that have shown interest in the project, is that correct?
22, and we've got 3 that's interested. We're just running them down to get them
Okay.
signed on there. That's the last of that from Tammy.
In a nutshell, the ADECA Community Development Block Grants are due on July 1st at 12 noon. That's the absolute drop dead date on that. In order for us to move forward with this project, we will have to pass a resolution for application that will have to come through the council and the mayor. We will have to allocate match funding, which is typically 20% of the project's total, to go along with that. And then, since this is a unique project, it's a removal of slum and blight demolition project for deteriorated, dilapidated buildings. We'll just have to do a designation which will bullet point basically all the buildings that we're looking at this time.
So I guess we need to get with our city accountant and make sure that we have the funds available before the next meeting.
Once we get the estimate back to the lab, if there's there's not gonna be money allocated, sufficient money allocated to do the 25 properties, then, we're gonna need to trim the list down. There's been a lot of legwork done here, and, I would like to obviously apply and go through with it. I wanna get as many as we can. If we can't do the 25, then, I think we should take a hard look at the list and based on need, trim it down.
I would say the most imperative thing, like we're mentioning, would be getting a ballpark on what the estimate will be with the total number of buildings that you're looking at, establishing that, and then moving forward from that point.
There's no possible way it will exceed 50,000.
I'm not a demolition expert by any means.
Well,
but
by the parameters of the grant, though, we're capped at 250.
the parameters of the grant, you're capped at $250,000 for the Community Enhancement Fund, which typically fits demolition type projects. So 20% of $250,000 would be a $50,000 max, so you would look at a total project of $300,000. That's probably your high end of this. I don't expect it to go that high, to be perfectly frank. Lad Environmental should have those numbers anytime now.
This week, I think.
Does demolition include the removal
Yes.
in the bid?
Yes.
That's pretty significant.
Right. My understanding from my past experience working these type projects, you would crush the septic tanks, fill those in, remove everything. I like to be very cautious in doing this, so we'll have hazardous materials review prior to that taking place.
Next question, what about an environmental impact? Is that all included in these bids?
We have to go through the NEPA process prior to anything being taken down, so yes, definitely hazardous materials will be taken into account for, lead paint, asbestos, et cetera, should something be present.
So anyway, the point is, a lot of times that drives the cost of it.
Right.
Not just like tearing a building down.
This has been approximately 8 years ago. I did a similar project for a city in Marion County, Alabama, where we took down approximately 30 homes, and it was right around $250,000 total.
Anybody got anything? Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, guys. And if there's anything I can help you with, follow me. Okay?
Finally, got a few items in personnel. Got a full-time patrolman hired, Dean White, a full-time fireman hired as Matthew Clark Cooley. And then the chief would like to post his second investigator position internally. Hope to fill that, or we'll have to fill it within internally, because there's not no room to hire anymore. Right.
I make a motion to hire Dean White at the starting pay rate for a patrolman, full-time patrolman.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Lingerfeld. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to hire Matthew Clark Cooley at starting, is that correct? Starting full-time firefighter pay.
I second that.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Lingerfeld. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to post an investigator position internally.
I second that.
Motion by Freeman, second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just want to talk a little bit about the Freedom Fest. Of course, Jerry was here about the Freedom Fest run. And he does a great job with that run. Raises a lot of money for different needs in the community. The Freedom Fest is coming up the 25th here in the park. We have got a full slate of entertainment starting at 1 o'clock all the way to 9 o'clock that night for the fireworks. You may have seen some of the brochures or posters. we've got the pony rides back, inflatables, we have a magician coming back to do shows in the Tom Bevel Center. The Hope Puppet Team, this is the first year they've been able to come back and perform, and they're gonna do 2 shows in the Tom Bevel Center too. So it's a full slate, starting at about 1 o'clock that day, all the way till after the fireworks that night. So hope everybody can come out and enjoy that. So, okay, in the fire department, they've got a computer, desktop computer that is just totally went bad, and they've got an estimate on getting a new one for them, and it's $750, and I'll put that in the form of a motion to let them purchase that computer.
I second that.
Motion by Lingerfeld, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
They have a second computer up there that they've been using, but it's having trouble because it quits ever so often, and they think it's just a power supply. They wanna go ahead and get it, worked on while the Genesis is gonna be there. So I'm gonna put that in form of a motion to let them go ahead and get that one repaired too. Don't have a cost on it, probably, if it's a power supply, it's probably not gonna be very expensive, maybe $100 or something like that. So I'll put that in form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Lingerfeld, second by Freeman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly the date, but going back about probably in the fall, or maybe a little bit earlier in the summer last year, we put in for a grant to get a new fire truck, and the chassis has came in. It's there at having the bed put on it, so that is underway. We should be receiving that new fire truck somewhere along sometime in July, probably July or August. So that just adds another truck to our fleet at the fire department, which is in really good shape. They do a good job over there, and so that truck will be coming in before too long. Now, here's something to be kind of thinking about on this, is that truck's got to be equipped with all the different parts, hoses, nozzles, axes, everything has got to go on that truck. And we've got 3 firemen sitting back there, and they know what I'm talking about. And I talked to Thomas about this the other day, and he said that he thought probably between somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000 to equip that truck. That's how much it'll cost. Does that sound about right, Wayne? I mean,
To be honest with you, I'm not sure on total cost on all the equipment that'll go on it, but if that's what he said, he's got a
he knows
pretty good
us. So somewhere probably between 30 and 40. So anyway, just gonna get you updated on that, and that's all I have.
Brandon?
I have where we bought the new roll-off truck, that left us a total of 3, and we've got one out of shop, and I'm gonna make us where we can surplus this and get rid of it before it tears up again, and authorize you to be able to do this. So I want to make a form of a motion that we surplus the 94 Max 600 and let the mayor authorize and dispose of it. Resolution 0606-2016.
I second that.
Motion by Freeman to pass and adopt the stated resolution, second by Ledbetter. Is there any discussion?
Only that it's not about to break, it's in fine operating condition, and it's a good value for anybody.
Shut up, Joyce, about sold already.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
I make a motion to pass resolution 6616. This is a resolution providing for the city's participation in the sales tax holiday. We do this every year.
That's
It
what,
would be a different A or something.
Is yours? I bet mine was first. I make a motion we pass resolution 6616A to participate in the sales tax holiday.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Lingerfeld. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion that the city enter into contract with Andrew Hairston for the public defender position.
I second that motion.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Graham. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
We had brought up with City Hall and the side doors being locked and the security issues. I spoke to a few people that work in City Hall every day, and Tammy had said that she had wanted her office specifically on that side so that the traffic could just be limited to her side, and that she definitely understood, especially with us not having JCS anymore, that everybody's coming to City Hall. They're paying their court fines. So there are a few options. Roger had come up with a few, and I'll let him talk about those in a second. But something that Tammy and I had talked about, and Kelly and I had also talked about, is possibly leaving Tammy's side open and maybe doing something with Kelly's side to just have an employee entry on that side. Not necessarily lock it, maybe just get car signs to do a nice vinyl lettering on there. And then that way it you know, cuts down a little bit of the security issues and fears. One thing that I do want to make a motion for, and I'll do it after this discussion, is the buzzers are not fully working in City Hall. So I know that Tammy said she doesn't know when people enter in on her side, and Kelly said hers works half the time. So I am going to make a motion that we get those looked at and fixed. So Roger, do you want to?
I checked on the doors, and that being, those are exit doors, and for us to be able to lock them, we're gonna have to equip them with push bars for safety, because they are exits. They do open to the outside. They are exit doors, and if something was to happen, they're so many feet down a hallway, so they would have to be equipped. Now, I got a price on those. They're around to fix them where they will lock and be able to, when they're locked, be able to push and they open, is about $350 a door. Now, that would comply with, you know, safety, you know, where if there was a fire or something, somebody get out of it, even though it's locked, you just bump it and it goes right on out. The other thought was, you know, if we're gonna leave it open, you know, we might wanna have some kind of security. Most you know, like bigger towns have security, or, you know, just, or they make everybody go through some kind of, you know, metal detectors or whatever. And with our court being back there, see, before we didn't have this because JCS took care of the court. Well, now everybody's coming to see Tammy there because that's where they have to pay their fines. So it brings a lot more people into the City Hall building than it used to. Another thing we talked about in the last meeting was, you know, handicap accessible. Okay, we could, in the front there, we could put 3 parking spaces and make it handicap accessible into the front to make it easier for people to get in there. We could cut a notched out spot there and make it that way. So there's other options, you know, security guard, putting some parking spaces out front. But if we do lock those doors, we are going to have to put push bars on, you know, where they're open. So that's just some things that I found out today, or over the last few days, that, you know, since we had that last meeting, that we need to be looking into. So I just kind of giving you an update of the whole view of it. So.
I have a question. When you were checking, if we're locking all those doors like we talked about at the last meeting, and short of doing something like the parking spaces in front, are we not out of compliance with the ADA Act, Federal Act, or Americans Disabilities?
I don't believe so. I don't think there's a ramp going up. There is a designated handicap spot.
Well, the point was raised last week about the distance, not so much the ramp, but the distance those handicapped folks will have to walk.
I don't know if there is a.
It might be something you want to check on.
Yeah, I didn't check into that side. When I got talking about that, I decided to go look about the front, if there was some way we could make it handicap accessible in the front. And that would make it a lot closer.
Yes,
So that was just a thought that I had, that, you know, might be the best way to fix this. And I can check on the distance.
I'm gonna do that, yeah.
Yeah, I can check.
So I make a motion that we allow our city clerk to get someone at City Hall to look into why the buzzers are not working, because I think they're a magnetic sensor. And I don't expect this to be over 750, but I'm gonna go ahead and make that motion.
I second.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Freeman. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
David?
I had asked about adopting the election workers, and after looking at the elections manual, it suggests that we do it a little closer to the election time, because qualifying hasn't even happened yet. We need to make sure that no election official is related to anyone on the ballot. So I'm going to respectfully ask to delay that to our first meeting in August, which I think is August 1st. And next, we have 3 sealed bids for the loans, so if we could let me be opening those, or ask the clerk to open those, and then when Joey finishes, we can come back and visit. Or you want me to open them, or how does that work? This is the first. Kelly, can you do that and take notes, or you want me to do it? Okay. That's all I have until I open these.
I'm gonna make a motion that we allocate $2,000 to the beautification committee to go towards the Veterans Memorial that we're erecting in the city park.
I second that.
Motion by Graham, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we have a potential job opening in the sanitation department. We may have an individual who may be retiring before the end of this month. I'd like to go ahead and post this job. I'd like to do a job, post a job for a Class B CDL sanitation truck driver.
I'll second.
Motion by Graham, second by Freeman. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And we have a estimate from TNT, paving, sealing, and striping for the Tom Bevel parking lot. This quote is for $6,100. They're the same company that did the city park. They did an excellent job down there. I make a motion that we authorize Tri-State to reseal the Tom Bevel parking lot.
I second that.
Motion by Graham, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
A hydraulic cylinder on our tractor at the wastewater treatment plant decided it no longer wanted to work, so we had to have Kubota fix it. The amount of that repair was $799.87. I make a motion that we authorize the general, this be out of the sanitation fund, that we pay for this out of the sewer fund.
Motion by Graham, second. Who had the second? By Lingerfeld. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, we have 4 streets that we had Mr. Sam Phillips look at for us. I'd like for us to go ahead and bid those streets out for resurfacing. Those streets are Shavies Road. That will be from the Shavies Church to the top of the mountain. Shiloh Estates, RTI Drive, and Industrial Boulevard. The total cost of all resurfacing all of these right here is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. I took the liberty of going and meeting with our accountant last Wednesday while she was here. And we have a special accounts fund that currently has $545,000 in there. I'd like for us to use $245,000 of that $545,000 to be paid towards the resurfacing of these streets. We have our 7-cent and 4-cent gas tax fund. It's currently sitting at right at 40,000. I would say that let's use 35,000 out of that fund to pay towards it. And our general fund right now is in a surplus area. We're sitting at over $200,000 in our general fund account, which is above and beyond what the general balance has been this time of year during the fiscal year. So the remaining 30,000 I would ask to come out of the general fund. And I'd like to make that in form of a motion.
Now, the 300,000, I want to remind you, the 300,000 out of a special account. The special account of the city is essentially the city's savings account. It's a reserve account, it's a rainy day account. I understand that.
And I spoke to her, and she said that we're good as long as we keep, we're going to remain, that balance is going to remain at $300,000. And
Well, I know we're good because it's money that belongs to the city. It just brings the balance of that account way down. Y'all still want to do that?
Can you repeat the motion? I'm sorry, I was listening.
To submit or bid out the resurfacing of Shavies Road, Shiloh Estates, RTI Drive, and Industrial Boulevard.
Let me make a note that on these pavings, once the construction loan comes through and we get approval from John Vandiver through USDA, that money can be replenished into the special account. So I second that.
Motion by Graham, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I took the liberty of calling, which is our new city attorney, Miss Nikki Scott. She is very uniquely qualified for this position. I was asking her some of her experiences, what experience she has had in municipal law. And she currently serves as the city attorney for Geraldine. And the two things that we're probably going to need a city attorney for the most are two things that she's currently working with. They have a USDA project for their sewer system and expansion that they're currently in the middle of. And she is working with them and getting that moved through. With that, she's also specifically said that she works with David Ringelstein out of Birmingham, who is our attorney associated with the USDA loan. So there's already a good working relationship.
You actually graduated with him from law school. Did you know that?
She has had worked with him on many different occasions. And of course, I asked her, how did y'all handle the Geraldine handle the construction loan associated with it? And she said that Mr. Ringelstein had prepared them an ordinance, and they simply just passed the ordinance. And Mr. Ringelstein has done the same thing with us. So I'm going to revisit ordinance 4/1816B. This is the ordinance that was written by our bond attorney. And I'm going to make a motion that we pass and adopt ordinance 4/1816.
I second that.
Motion by Graham to pass and adopt the stated ordinance. Motion, or second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Looks like a roll call vote, sure. Graham?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Ledbetter?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Lingerfeld?
Yes.
I vote no. Motion passes, ordinance adopted.
Okay. Now, I also want to make a motion that for any money to be drawn down on this loan, it has to be presented to the city council, voted on, and passed by a majority vote.
I'll second that.
Motion by Graham, second by Holt. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? I vote no. Motion carries.
Okay, I would like to make an announcement tonight. And while we're here, the Tornado Memorial is looking really good right now. And they have a fundraiser set up for September the 10th. It will be a bake sale, a car show, an auction, and music. It will be from 4 to 8. We would ask all who can to attend.
And we'll announce more as the time gets closer.
And the last thing I have on my agenda is I'm going to ask that we go into a quick executive session for preliminary negotiations in trade competition. This is for where open discussion would have detrimental impact on this body's negotiating position.
Can,
Just before we do that, can David open
And
those?
I've got
Oh,
two
yes.
things covered up.
We will return to that later.
can I go?
Yes, sir.
We had 3 banks to bid on the loans that we currently have. I make a motion that we, let me just say that First Bank of the South, First Southern State Bank, and Regions Bank all submitted a bid on the 3 loans that we were talking about. I make a motion that we move the fire truck loan to Regions Bank at a rate of 2.35% fixed.
I second that.
Motion by Holt, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Secondly, I make a motion, we move the note for the police cars to Regions Bank at a loan rate of 1.80% fixed.
I second that.
Motion by Holt, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
And thirdly, I make a motion that we move the municipal annex building to First Southern State Bank at a 3.5% interest rate.
I second that.
Motion by Holt, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
I've got 2 items that I need to go, it's okay? One, in the work session, we talked about the memorial that we're gonna build. I'd like to make a motion to give $1,500 out of the Freedom Fest fund, towards that.
I second that.
Motion by Lingerfeld, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Carries.
The other thing I have is, probably just permission to bid on Carlisle Road. It's been about a month ago, we went to Joey and I and the mayor from Sylvania, the mayor from Henniger, and DeWitt Jackson from the county commission, went to Montgomery and went down there to see about some funding. And Carlisle Road was one of the ones that we had kind of on the radar, you know, with the state helping us. So that project is a $300,000 project from Hilltop to Burnt Church. And Mr. Cooper from the transportation department was real good to us. He gave us $150,000 towards that project. So we've got to bid it out, and you know, to know exactly. We've got a limit, you know, just an estimate from our city engineer, St. Phillips. But to get this project started, we'd have to go through the bid process. So I'm putting that out for y'all to discuss. I know we was talking about money just a few minutes ago. If we want to do this, that $150,000 is there to help us. If go. So it's up to y'all on that. I'll put it in the form of a motion if y'all wanna do it. If you don't, then we'll leave it.
I second that.
Okay.
I think this is an opportunity to resurface that street for 50 cents on the dollar. And also this was an opportunity for our senator and our state representative to help out the city of Rainsville. So I'd like to thank Representative Ledbetter and Senator Livingston for giving us the opportunity that we have today. One of the things that was very helpful is that we use that as a farm to market road, which enabled us to get this funding. So once again, to both Senator and Representative, offer them my thanks.
Yes. The paving on that particular road will be from Sylvania Baptist all the way to Hilltop. It'll finish that road out all the way through Rainsville and Sylvania at the same time. So it's gonna really fix that road good. So that's the reason they wanted to do that, and that was Sylvania's side of it too. So.
Motion by Lingerfeld, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And if anybody has the opportunity of seeing Representative Ledbetter or Senator Livingston, take the time to shake their hand and tell them thank you. $150,000 just magically appearing to us is a wonderful thing. And it's good to have state elected officials that work closely with the municipalities that they represent, and listen to the needs of the municipalities.
So motion to pay the monthly bills.
I make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Second.
Motion by Ledbetter, second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.
I make a motion that we go into an executive session for the previously stated reasons. It should last no longer than 10 to 15 minutes.
So we'll be back at 6:12.
Correct.
I second that.
Motion by Graham, second by Ledbetter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.